Hello and good evening, and welcome to you all on episode one of Inside Out. In this series, I'm going to be talking to a lot of experts from different spheres who will share their expertise, which will help us a long way in us making a lot of decisions in our day to day life. And tonight, the guest I have has got a rich resume. He's handled the elite teams in all sports, and notably, he was the SNC coach of the Indian team when they won the 2011 World Cup. He's also trained Naren Karthikeyan, Arman Ibrahim, and the list goes on. And since this is a situation where everybody is suggested to ensure that they build up on their immunity to fight the COVID 19, I thought it apt that I'll bring in a fitness trainer in my first episode. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome Ramji Srinivasan. Welcome, Ramji. Good evening.
Hi, Rama. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invite. Really honored to be part of your web show. That too, opening an innings, which is your forte.
Yeah, and as a
Thank you so
trainer,
much.
you are aware, you're welcome. As a trainer, you're aware of the importance of warm up. So I'll just, as a warm up question, I'll toss you and take you back to your athletic days during your college.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was surreal experience. Okay, I was in school. My event was 100 meters and long jump. Won the during the junior period. Won the state. Won the school nationals, etc. Once I entered college, it was a disaster. First year in college, after qualifying for the college team, I had a hamstring tear. That was an end of my athletic career. In many ways, I'm happy also. Otherwise, I'll be doing some pen pushing job now. But now it made me explore a lot of things, made me understand what I am, who I am, etc., etc. Not that I become a philosopher, but still made me realize reality pretty soon.
It was interesting you say that because you flirted for a while. You fancied on becoming a civil servant. You wrote the IAS preliminary exams. You got through it, and yet you came back to being a trainer. Just take us through that.
Oh yeah, because I wanted to become an IPS officer, police officer for a long time because that was my passion initial stages as a professional career. Then my subject was physics. I did my BSc physics, and then for IAS we have to have one more subject. So I did my MA sociology. Then I studied nearly 1.5 years for that and got through prelims. And I am sure I wouldn't have cleared main because it was loads and loads of studies have to be done, and I didn't have time at that point of time. Not that I was extremely busy doing things, but a lot of family issues, a lot of health issues for my parents, so I had to abort that abruptly. So then I shifted to the subject what I knew well, and yeah, I was comfortable in that particular uh, segment because I was involved in that initially. So with a little bit, very basic knowledge of fitness and training, etc. Very basic, very rudimentary knowledge. I got into this field full fledged. I never even thought twice how I'm going to manage what I'm going to do, but jumped into it full lick. Rest has happened over a period of 2 decades.
Yeah, the heart won over the mind in your case. So you came back
Absolutely.
to training sports persons because you are involved in sports. And you also been a trainer for close to about 3 decades now. Now, according to you, what is your definition of somebody being fit?
Okay, very interesting because this is going to be maybe my 25th year in fitness industry and sports industry, maybe around 19 years or 20 years. The definition of fitness, what I would love that particular definition is ability of an individual to harness his or her potential to the maximum, be it physiological, be it psychological, be it social. That is true fitness. It's a holistic component, just not physical, just having six pack, eight pack, or a keg. It doesn't matter, but it has to be a combination of a lot of things. You should have social skills. You should have good mental skills. At the same time, you should have physical skills. All three combined, it's like a tripod stool. You know, you cannot negate one from another.
Yes,
So
that's
that is
probably
my
you know
definition of
more.
what understanding of fitness, basically, holistic.
Okay, that is probably you know more apt for top elite sports persons. But if you're talking of a common man, for example, a lot of people who tend to think that they are fit because they have a trim frame, or you know you'll have youngsters who are really sort of you know chiseled bodies and they think they're really fit. In that context, what exactly would you describe as fitness?
Yeah, very true, Rama. That is a trend. Somebody we have in our profession, we have come across so many people. Those who are thin, we tell them he is looking fit or he is fit. No, that's not the thing. Or somebody who's fat need not be unfit. You know, it's either fit or fat. There is a controversy. There is a what do you call always nuances there, basically. As far as general fitness is concerned, you have to do all. It depends on person to person what they like. You know, some may like Japanese food, some may like Italian food, some may like Indian. So everybody's need for on lookout for fitness is different. Similarly, some may like aerobic fitness, some may like strength training, some may like yoga, some may like swimming or cycling or marathon running, etc. So different strokes for different folks accordingly. In that parameter, what one has to be talking about is very, very critical. For example, somebody is doing a strength training or interested in strength training, he or she needs to understand what it entails. Half-baked knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge at all. Especially nowadays, click of a button, you get all sort of information and Google workouts, YouTube workouts, Instagram workouts, etc., etc., which can be potentially dangerous because a lot of workouts have been copied and cut paste things over a period of time. We know that. So one has to be very, very mindful when they enter, when they are interested in fitness. What is their interest? What is their aptitude? If somebody is taking science or somebody is taking commerce or arts, it's their aptitude. Similarly, everybody cannot lift weights. Everybody cannot do yoga. Somebody cannot do Pilates or gynecokinesis or marathon running or cycling. So individual needs are different, and what they need to work on is to understand that and embrace that well. Understand and enter that. Before entering, you need to have a based knowledge about what they are getting into. Very critical.
Yeah,
Very critical.
in other words, they need to be guided properly and somebody who knows the topic as to what exactly is trying to convey. Now, the awareness about fitness and also the attitude of even the sports persons, as also the common man who's not involved in sporting activities, that has increased a lot over the last couple of decades. And also the
Absolutely.
equipment
Oh
also
yes,
has become better and better, but it
yes.
becomes very critical to choose the right equipment based on your training needs, doesn't it?
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head because we have seen the transition. You being a top class cricketer, played for the highest level, you know what the transition happened over a period of 3 decades. From no gym to full gyms, you know, from no equipment to ultra modern equipments, from no information to too much of information overload. So there is a transition which has happened over a period of time, which is pretty good though. But it is like a knife with both edges. You should know where, when to use and how to use it. Very important. At the same time, knowledge and guidance is very critical. The guy who is talking terminology or having an accent need not be excellent. In India, we this is true. India, we have a herd mentality. If somebody does something, everybody wants to do the same thing. Why not food? Why not I mean, even food? Somebody goes vegan or somebody goes into gluten free diet, everybody follows that because it's the individual's choice, individual's need. So one need to understand that you cannot have a herd mentality to it, and guidance is very critical. Especially more sophisticated equipments, one should know how to harness the best out of the equipments. There is a saying in Tamil.
Ironically,
Ah, sorry.
despite the awareness having increased, despite the equipment having got better, on the other hand, you still have a lot of obesity as well in terms of child obesity amongst young adults. When I say a child, I'm referring to kids between 9 and 12. And then when I say young adults, I'm talking about people in their mid and late teens. Why do you think that is happening still, despite the fact that there's a lot of awareness?
Absolutely. This has happened over last 15 to 20 years. One of the reasons is the lifestyles have changed completely. From basic to ultra sophisticated, we got the wrong end of the westernization on a lot of things. We have our own good things, which we don't see it. We think it's infra-dig. A lot of things from our country, we feel it's infra-dig, and it comes from Western point of view. We think it's, they have done a research and telling us that what we need to yoga is very good. Why should we follow the touch the nose this way? Shortest between distance between 2 point is a straight line. So you have all the information. Idea is lifestyles have changed, and the children, they are into gadgets. It's a very open secret, you know. And parents also, they are working parents now. Both are working, and the child has to be left in a crash or taken care by somebody else. There are a lot of things, socio-economic changes have put in India where it is now. Typically,
Yes, what
socio-economic
is
changes.
Yeah, there are a lot of changes. You are right in that respect. Now, the point is, let's assume a young man of 19 years, for some reason, he's put on a lot of weight, and if he wants to do something about it, what are the baby steps that he needs to take? Because he can't really go at a high intensity level.
Absolutely, absolutely, Rama. This is a very pertinent question what you asked, because 90% don't know what they do. That's why I'm telling you, they look at YouTubes and look at blogs, look at extra other things, which they you have can access information. But there is a process involved in guy embarking on fitness. Anybody, whether it's just for fitness sake or just to reduce weight or increase weight, put on muscle, etc., there is a process involved. First, one thing you need to understand is you need to take a medical screening, then takes a physio assessment for any injuries and the medical screening for any sort of medical issues. Suddenly, he may collapse even when he is doing a low intensity workout. You'll never know, you know those sort of things. Then take a fitness testing, basic fitness testing, depending on the likes. You may like aerobic fitness or etc. So then devise a individualized program. See, we don't have the concept of, we keep talking in the websites and other things. I've seen millions of websites, individualized program, but few and far between. It's cut and paste from one person to another. That's why I'm telling you. Initially, I told you, somebody is successful in knocking off 20 kilos. The same workout is followed by next 20 people. How can it be?
No, but to be fair, Ramji, this entire process of medical screening, fitness screening, fitness test, and everything else, it's all right for people who can afford it. But what about kids who can't afford it? What about people who can't afford it? What kind of basic activities that they can do to reduce weight?
See, it is not expensive, Rama, to do a medical screening. Maybe that's going to do it only once. Just one shot, because the risk related to medical issues, as far as fitness is concerned, it can be huge. Especially, suppose you have a lower back issue or a knee injury or a neck injury, so you're going to spend loads and loads of money on medical to the hospital to avoid it. It becomes more of a preventive medicine rather than curative. Basic thing, just do the basic testing or a basic physiological assessment or a basic testing where you can infer loads of information about the person, what he or she likes to do, then progress from there. It is not expensive. If somebody is going to charge you bomb, then it's a different ball game altogether.
You spoke about lifestyle. Now, how important is backing up your fitness regimen or even reduction of weight with proper food habits? How important is that?
Oh yeah, you are what you put in your gut. Very simple. You are you may be Ferrari or Lamborghini or Bugatti Veyron, but if there is no gas in it, it'll be a showpiece. So food is like a gas. Proper gas, you have to have proper way of with a nutritionist. They play a very critical role. Whether it's a sports nutritionist or a general nutritionist, they play a very critical role in giving you the desired result. Very critical, very very important. Even the diet regime has to be done individual basis, and to do a blood test before they embark on diet regime, putting on the diet regime, because Some people have a lactose intolerance and other things, so that they can have complications. To avoid those things, that's why these are the basic tests. Once you do, these sort of things are your red flags, then work around that. Very, very, very important. Very important. These are the things you need to do. In US, we are talking about Western countries. Everything is written down. Everything is documented. You have to sign everything. You have to sign all the forms. So many forms you have to sign. In India, it's free for all. But still, there is no system in place. There is no process and protocols in place. That's a sad thing. But I'm sure that a lot of youngsters are coming into the system now. Highly qualified youngsters are coming to the system. I'm sure they'll do something about it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because a lot of former cricketers are now taken up to becoming physical trainers themselves. That should be
Yes.
of great help. How do you welcome that? The former
Oh,
sports
yes.
persons becoming trainers.
It's a very good sign. It's a very good sign, because to understand a sport, you cannot just be a sports trainer. Just one day if you have 10 certifications, it doesn't mean that you are going to be a sports trainer. It's a different ball game altogether. You have to know the mechanics of a sport. You have to understand physiology, the kinesiology, the biomechanics, and the energy systems, what is involved, etc. Loads of things involved, and embark onto the system. Previous players or sports person, whether cricketer or a tennis player, are getting into the system because they are already played that game, experience the physical discomfort or the mental problems, whatever they have to address, and the nutritional aspect, that they can understand the things better, definitely, compared to a layman who is coming into the sports training. They have a handicap over normal person who is trying to get into sports training. Welcome. It's a very good welcome sign. Definitely, it's a welcome sign.
You remarked about knowing the sport well. That was one of your remarkable qualities. Whenever you were asked to take over a team in any sport, you made it a point, you found out the needs of the sport before you even had a session with the team. How important is that?
Oh yeah, very important, Rama. No, the thing is, we don't understand that people don't come to you. Just one segment of people. I'm not talking about cricketers alone. We are talking about racers. We are talking about tennis players, table tennis players, golfers, shuttle players, etc., etc. Their needs are different. Every sporting needs are different. Some are individual sport, some are team sport. So you need to understand, read a lot of things about the sport. First of all, what it entails, what are the injuries, basic injuries. Once then you go back then you go back, reading all the other parameters required from various skill set. So it is a lot of homework to do. Definitely a lot of homework. It is very boring and very tedious and very time consuming, but that is our job. We have to do. We cannot be complacent about it. One thing is, they fully trust you and come to you. Their future and their ambition, their parents involvement, and everything, the association or individuals ambition, aspiration, everything is involved when they come to you. You cannot let go of that, the trust. So for that, you need to equip yourself very well. Otherwise, no point. Just train weight loss, weight gain, and keep quiet.
Is it fair to say the other side of the coin of fitness is injury prevention?
Absolutely, it's part and parcel of injury prevention. And there is a quote: "Trainer prepares, physio repairs." In India, most of the physios are very busy
Because
preparing.
some of the viewers, because some of the viewers here are asking, is too much importance given to fitness, or does it lead to players breaking down?
No, no, not at all. Too much importance given to fitness, because individual trainers, what do you call, the way they approach fitness is different. First, second thing, what components of fitness is required? Second, third one, have they done all the preliminary testing protocols, etc.? That's why I'm telling you, physio as assessment is very critical, because to find out the niggles, find out the joint ranges, find out what are the probabilities of injuries which can happen to the particular person, be it general fitness or sports fitness, some postural alignments, etc., etc. These are the things can be addressed right away from the beginning itself and rectified. It can be a fantastic remedial solutions for injury prevention and cure. Fitness, it encompasses everything.
There you go, Vishwanathan Ganapati. That was the answer for your question. And you spoke about screening done by a physio before the trainer gets into his act. Now,
Yes,
even here, it's a question of a teamwork, isn't it? Because the physios and the trainers, as well as the coaches, have to work together as a team, isn't it?
absolutely, absolutely. I remember, Rama, not to be very talking loads of superlatives about you. I remember when you took over in 2006. You know how the system was. Coaches are the main. We are also, that's why we are called support staff. We have to work around the coach's needs. You used to grill us left, right, and center in every level. Why, for example, you are doing this, etc., etc. What is the role of physio, the role of fitness trainer, the role of nutritionist, the role of massage therapist, etc., and other support staff? Everything is a teamwork. You know, end of the day, we are like spokes. A coach is a hub, and the player is a hub. So we are like spokes. So we have to work in tandem with coaches and tandem with the players' needs. We are just cog in the wheel,
N-
not to be very
Yeah.
self-effacing, but that is reality.
Yeah, we all are supposed to be in the background. We can't be in the forefront as support staff. Now, the thing is that there are many aspects to fitness. There's strength, there is the speed, there's the agility, there's the endurance. Now, what ratio would you advocate? Obviously, it depends on the sport. Now, for example, if we take an outdoor sport and an indoor sport, what are the ratios of these aspects would you advocate?
Okay, phenomenal question. Fantastic question. I'm very happy somebody asked this question. Okay, everything is working on ratios. It's like a Fibonacci series, golden ratio series. Okay. The thing depends on the ratio of your components of fitness, be it your strength or strength endurance, or aerobic fitness or speed endurance, speed, agility, quickness, footwork, etc., etc. You have more than 15, 20 components of fitness. What suits one sport need not suit another. Okay, for example, fast bowling. Fast bowlers you take, they need a good amount of aerobic fitness, good amount of core strength and stability, good level of explosive power, good level of running mechanics, good level of flexibility, and breathing pattern, which brings in loads of rhythm. A lot of people don't talk about the breathing pattern, one of the key components of running mechanics, whether it's aerobic fitness or you're running to bowl. So that is very critical depending on skill, depending on sport, and finally depending on individuals. The ratios would vary.
Yes. Is there a way to build up the breathing pattern? Because a lot of non-sports persons who have a habit of jogging and running, is there a mechanism or is there a way to build up the breathing pattern that you mentioned now?
Oh yes, oh yes. There are loads, many ways to skin a cat. One of the good breathing pattern is in our school of fitness is yoga. One of the best. It's been proven by top elite athletes around the world. We don't need any endorsements. Yoga doesn't need any endorsements from Indian fitness trainers. They are gone. Yoga has gone much above that level. Second thing is, even when you're breathing, in racing, they used to call a square breathing and round breathing. It's called a diaphragmatic breathing. Working on the lower lobes of your lungs so that it works on the intercostal muscles so that that expands and contracts, and intake of maximum oxygen is adhered to. So, very critical is working on the diaphragmatic breathing, which I'm sure the strength and conditioning guys should be able to address that issue even when you're doing a simple weights training or even walking. Every time you hit the ground, you inhale or exhale. There has to be a pattern in that. You cannot hold your breath and run. You can do it for 5 meters, 10 meters, or 20 meters max, not more than that, because your body, you hit a wall instantly after that. you know Oxygen debt is created. So idea as breathing pattern is very critical for any sport, for any exercise regime. So end of the day, you have to have oxygen into your system.
Excellent. Hello to all the friends who greeted me and Ramji. Keep listening to us. It's getting interesting. Now, I can understand the indoor sports, outdoor sports, various components can be factored in. Now, you also train racing drivers.
uh,
What kind of regimen do you give them, like a Naren Karthikeyan or a Arman Ibrahim or the others in the racing
Aditya.
field?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, a bit. trust me, I got introduced to racing through Akbar Ibrahim, the father of Indian motorsport and ex-cricketer. He was a person who introduced me to racing way back. Then Naren came in, Arman, Aditya Patel, Karun Chandok, all the top drivers, even the current top drivers trained with me here. It involves amazing level of fitness. A lot of people think just sit down in the car and drive. A lot of even the current elite sports person representing India, they think just sit down in the car and drive. No, it is much more than that. They are one of the fittest athletes I have ever seen. Be it aerobic fitness, be it strength endurance, be it core strength and stability, or cross training or mode or methodology, they are one of the fittest guys. One of the reason is when you are standing in the grid, your heart rate goes nothing less than 90% throughout the race, 1 hour. Imagine your heart rate at 90% throughout the race, which is near-death experience. Second one, your G-forces. You can black out or you can die, your neck can break, especially when you're braking or acceleration or you're banking the curve. If you're wearing a helmet, and with the helmet on your head, it can weigh up to 50 kgs, especially when you're braking. Imagine, your neck can snap. And you have to make a quicksilver decision when you have to overtake, you have to listen to the radio, you have to listen to the team, and when you have what strategy you need to work on. Very, very important. Your peripheral awareness, your quick reactive mode, your proactive mode, all comes into play. And it is potentially very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. I've seen some of these guys crash, and Naren crash and Arman crash a couple of times. Literally, I had my heart in my mouth because everything stopped. It was total static position. Nobody moved from the inside the car, and it is very very disturbing to see that. Also very important is wet conditions when they drive. Your visibility factor is nearly zero. So it entails loads of fitness and loads of quicksilver thinking, loads of very sharp thinking. Not nobody is there to support you. You have to do your own. Otherwise, you are a dead duck.
Once again, there's a question from one of my old friends, former cricketer Ravi Mishra. He's asked, please ask him a methodology to reduce weight and extra flab around waist. You don't need to answer that. I can answer that. Ravi, you stop eating the extra butter with the Aru Palanta. You'll be fine.
Ravi, eat, drink, and be merry. There was I read a book way back in 90s by an author called Coward Bailey, called Fit or Fat. That was a very, very good book. I think 20 years old, more than 20 years old, 25 years old. Pretty good book even now. It gives you a very realistic picture. A thin person, as you asked initially, need not be fit. When you test them, you have a shocker. Seeing them totally unfit. That's a different. People's needs are different, and the perception, the outside perception of the fit person is different, totally different. And I remember I have to give this anecdote. In two anecdotes. One, I'll talk about you. Second thing, I'll talk about SRT. One, I remember we were the first to do the fitness testing in country way back in 97. Any cricket team to do the fitness testing. And I remember you couldn't do a standing broad jump. You had an ankle issue. You had an ankle sprain. And people gave a Raman, no, Raman won't do, you won't do fitness. And finally, once you gave me a week's time to do the fitness testing, I remember that so clearly. Within a week, you came back and did more than everybody could do. And we did in front of everybody. Not that we did a separate thing, cooking up test results. We did in front of everybody. And you jumped really, and guys were stunned to see you jump. And that was also an eye-opener for me, because the perception was Raman is very chilled out, laid back, and end of the day, they didn't realize you were running 5 o'clock in the morning in the beach.
This has prompted me to ask you a question. How much does mental toughness help you in fitness, and vice versa? How much does physical fitness help you to be mentally strong?
It is. It goes without say a strong body houses a strong mind, or vice versa. One of the cliched terminologies, but it is definitely true. Uh, it has to, because once you are getting embarking on fitness, there are so many factors of your mental faculty comes into play, isn't it? Your commitment, your dedication, your perseverance, your especially the free will to do more than anything, your free will to embark on fitness, which is very very big, and the free will to be excellent is the clincher, vice versa in fitness or mental conditioning. And nowadays a lot of things are spoken about mental conditioning, because I'm not an expert, I cannot talk too much about it because I don't know anything about it, but the sometimes some things are pretty shocking to observe. You cannot be exploiting under the pretext of mental conditioning. Loads and loads are being exploited now, and I have seen with my. I'm like a horse's mouth. I'm talking from the not my friend's friend told me or cousin's friend told me or anything like that. I'm telling from my own experience. Lot of rubbish is going on.
Yeah, that is another thing, crossing into a domain where you don't have expertise. That should be stopped in a way, because I've seen a few of them talking about diet, suggesting diet, or encouraging athletes to take supplements. How good is that
Oh dear,
for the athletes?
that is literally an appetite for destruction.
I have to prompt you back. I have to prompt you back to SRT, because you said you will relate an anecdote. If you don't relate, I will be blamed by all the people who are watching, and they won't take to me kindly. When you say SRT, you have to go through it. Finish it, please. They are very keen to
Okay,
know it.
I'll come to SRT once I finish this question. And yeah, this is very important because unless and until you are qualified expert sports nutritionist, kindly don't prescribe supplements or other products. Potentially dangerous. You don't know what is happening. You don't know what the person is allergic to, whether there are loads of other issues, whether there is a lot of steroids involved in that, etc., etc., WADA compliant. That is for sports people. Even for normal people, kindly take a professional nutritionist advice in designing a program. That's why I told you, individualize the diet schedule, and blood testing has to be done before diet embarking on a diet schedule. That the nutritionist will be able to guide you and tell you on that very professionally. There are some fantastic nutritionists now in the country, which is very heartening to see that. And coming back to SRT mode, this was in 2002 or something. In they had a camp in Chennai, and we had a fitness testing. Andrew Leapers told me, Ramji, I need your help on this. Can you come? I said, great pleasure. Of course, won't. Why should I? There is a Karumbu Tinna Kuliya with full enthu. I went there much before the team came in. All the guys walked in. They had a testing. We had fight testing at that point of time. We had beep run, we had sit and reach, we had push-ups, we had ab stage. Oh no, we had plank, and we had one more. We had one more leg press or something like that, near max thing. So SRT came in. His chance, Venkatesh Prasad and others were there at that point of time. Venkatesh Prasad did the highest 12 inches or something, sit and reach, so that it's a movement for, I mean, to check your lower back and hamstring flexibility. You know, Sachin came in, removed his shoes, zero. He did zero. So Sachin, what is this? Oh, yeah, very bad, no? Ramji, give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, I'll come back and do. Yeah, okay, let others finish. By the time I finished others, I was just waiting outside the Pace Foundation gym, waiting for him with the pad and I think he went inside the gym. Trust me, I get goose flesh even now. He came out ready. I said, yeah, ready, Sachin, let's do. He told me before that I will do 6 inch, 6 inches. Said, okay. I thought, okay, one of those days, you know. So came 5 to 7 minutes. He would have taken because there are only two people after him. So finished that, and I was waiting for him. Exactly 6 inch. Trust me. Unbelievably looked at me and told me, Ramji, I told you. What will I say? What can I say? I cannot say anything. Clean bolt. Totally. That is one of my. I told him also, is it Ramji? Yeah, then he remembers. Then he beep, we did the beep run and other things, he stopped.
Yeah,
This was,
talking about that, people are very keen to know what exactly is this yo-yo test. Now, let's not talk about the merits, demerits of it. They're just keen to know what exactly is the yo-yo test. I know it, but because you are a trainer, you're an expert in that field, I will leave you to explain what yo-yo is.
yeah, yo-yo is a good form of testing to see where you stand in level of aerobic fitness. It is devised way back in 70s or 80s. Or yeah, sorry, yeah, from a Dutch scientist, sports scientist, and it came to soccer to test the aerobic fitness. Especially soccer is a lot of running around, take a break, running around, take a break. The intensity goes up from level 9 or something or 6 or something. It starts. There are 2, 3 different types. Then progressively it increases the intensity. The frequency of the running decreases. The time between it's 20 meters distance and you have 5 meters, 5 meters. So you run sprint, touch the line, come back and walk around the 5 meter cone, come back and be ready for the next whistle or beep or what do you call sound to go to the next level. So you keep going from one level to another. The frequency decreases between the 2 points, and as you keep higher and go higher and higher, it gives you your VO2 max, your aerobic capacity. You can measure your aerobic capacity, how good you are. That is only to measure your aerobic capacity alone, not any other components of fitness. So people may say when you are running in 19, 20, 21, that level, then you are talking about speed endurance mode. There you are shifting into a speed endurance mode. Not when you're doing your 14, 12, 11, 12, 14, 16. No, that is slightly above jogging, that pace. So anything above 18 plus or 19, we are talking about serious fitness. 19 plus should be minimum. That is to measure the aerobic fitness alone.
So we
Yo-yo
spoke
or
about
beep run
injury.
or a beep
We
run,
spoke
or yo-yo. Sorry.
we spoke about injury prevention. Now, the other side of the spectrum. Now, what and how does a sportsman start his training once he's finished his rehab from an injury? How does he approach that phase, comeback phase into training and his cricketing skills?
Yeah, return to play. Basically, return to play. Uh, One of the most misunderstood, one of the most neglected scenario in India is return to play, cutting across all sport. Uh, okay, I just wrote an article about that last week, so it will be coming next week. Return to play. You asked the spot on, Rama. Yeah. So, return to play has so many factors involved. You have to have a rest period. You have to have, depending on the injury, depending on the intensity of the injury, one has to take a call and progress. Let's assume that he or she is recovered from the injury completely and all the range of movement, etc., is completely okay, because there is a time frame for everything has to be given. Everything is given. So it's a coordination between the strength and conditioning coach and the physio and sports medicine doctor. These three play a very critical role in bringing back the athlete to a certain level, and then have to incorporate coach, because you know why? Because one of the reason is the coach is kept. They're mostly kept in blind. The reason is coaches also should know, because of this injury, he or she may have certain deficits which can crop up during the matches. So the coach can plan the team, plan the strategy accordingly. For example, somebody is even 100% fit. You don't want to take a risk from day one to let them sprint or bowl 30 hours a day. You would also adjust your strategy, where to place him or her in the team, how to manage the workload, etc. That has to be a transition. It has to be a very smooth transition between all the professionals and the athlete's mindset. has to be incorporated. If you can incorporate a sports psychologist at that point of time, it is fantastic. That helps. Somebody like Elbala who came back after injury, thanks to you, Rama. You defied loads of things. We all thought out of the box at that point of time. Sometimes there is also a very thin line between willpower and foolishness for an athlete or for a strength and conditioning or a support staff. So one has to be very mindful as to do things as teamwork. It may be a bit on a cussed experience, but you have to swallow the bitter pill, put your ego down, and work towards a betterment of an athlete. They come first.
There's there's a question here from one of the persons
Yeah.
watching this show. For youngsters wanting to take up a career as sports trainer, what is the path for them? This is from Vijay Bharadwaj.
Okay. The huge scope now, as far as if you want to take up strength and conditioning as a profession, India's growing sport is going to be very big in a few years. It is already becoming big, and amazing scope is there. There are a lot of courses available. If you want to do a bachelor's degree, there are a lot of universities available, or a master's degree and or a PhD. That is a separate issue altogether. You need to spend loads of time, or you can do certification courses like CSCS, SASCA, NASM. Lot of certifications courses available online, and you can qualify yourself on that and do a lot of other courses. There are loads of courses available now, which is not the scenario 20 years back. You have to go to that, spend loads of money, go to Australia, get hammered and come back. Now things have become much easier, and access to information is very good. You can visit loads of websites available for you to do a certification course. And very important is to have a very, very good intern sessions with somebody. you know Otherwise, directly taking a sword and trying to be a Spartan, no chance.
I'm going to ask another question. Joseph Hoover, with Yo-Yo, would Gavaskar and GRV have scored more runs? Instead of Ramji Joseph, I'll explain it because both Sunil Gavaskar and GR Vishnath believed in conservation of energy. If they were to spend their energy with Yo-Yo, probably they would have got tired and wouldn't have scored that many runs.
See,
Hope it answers your question.
one thing also, I think too much has been made out of fitness, Rama, because I've seen the transition over a period of time. Lot of things have been made out of fitness, especially for cricket. You know, you. I recently read an article by ESPN. They have named top 60 sport in the world, which entails huge level of absolute level of physicality and absolute level of technical skills combined. You know, cricket is not even there in 60. Cricket is also lots to do with your cerebral thought process. It's like a game of chess. You have played chess in a phenomenal level, which you keep telling, always kept telling. It is cerebral. Now, because of lifestyle changes have happened, media has come in, T20 has come in, everybody wants to look good, sponsors coming in, tight t-shirts and six-pack, eight-pack. But I think it's not rocket science to train cricketers, frankly speaking. You know that you have been advising, concentrate on functionality of the game, concentrate on specificity of the game, combine both mind and body. That's a way to do it. I think too much has been made out of cricketers being the fittest lot. I'm sorry to say that, to break people's heart. No, big no. They are not the fittest sports person in the world. That I'm 150% sure.
One final question, Ramji. Now,
Yes.
there is a question here by another viewer. The question is, once you start doing weight training, do you have to do all through your life? The fear is that once you stop weight training, you might start putting on weight, or you might start, developing sagging flesh.
Not really. That's why foundation is very important. What you do in the initial stages, too fast, too soon, can lead to loads of disastrous consequences on the long run. That is why you need to have a goal, short term, mid term, and long term goals. What you want to look like 20 years down the line. And like in investment, you are investing in your body. Don't you want to look good even when you're 60 or 70? That's an investment. Like you ask an investment banker or a stock, risk management person, they would be able to tell you that how they invest to looking at a long-term goal in perspective. You need to look at long-term what you need to do. It's not Mac or KFC food what we are eating, fast food. No, it's a long term. It's a long term affair. I don't think so. If you do things right, I know I have met some of the phenomenally fit people. Some of them are fitter than youngsters. Some of them are climbing Kilimanjaros and peaks in Argentina and in Europe and even in Everest. I mean, not Everest, Himalayas. I know a lot of these 50 plus people are climbing and sheer grit, and they are really fit, really fit. It is not true, provided you do a systematic review every once in a while on what you're doing, because you can plateau off. You keep doing the same thing again and again every day, you plateau off. That is when the injury happens and or the performance level goes down. So stepping it up every 3 weeks, it's a 21-day cycle or 28-day cycle, you step it up. One of the very important thing which nobody talks about is a thing called biorhythm. Biorhythm is a process which was invented very early in 70s, and one of the top athletes who used biorhythm for his advantage was Carl Lewis way back in 1984 when he won the 4 Olympic gold medal. Biorhythm involves 3 factors. One is physiological, one is psychological, and one is social. These 3, it goes like a sine wave. Every day we are different. Every session, morning, afternoon, or evening, our body and mind is different. So how do you get the best out of it? There lies the biorhythm. Everybody's biorhythm is different. We are like thumb impression. So once you understand the concept of biorhythm into a system, things become so easy and very easily understandable. Try that biorhythm system.
Thank you, Ramji. Thanks for your great insights, and it was a pleasure having you. Once again, thank you for your time. And for the viewers, I'm sure you would have enjoyed it. This conversation will be put up on YouTube as well. And for those who are going to watch on the YouTube, I'll be delighted if you can subscribe for my channel, Inside Out by W. Raman on YouTube. And I look forward to meeting you in a week's time. Until then, take care and stay safe. And
Thank you.
good night.
Thank you, Rama. Thank you all. Have a safe week ahead. Stay healthy and be happy. Keep smiling. Thanks, Rama. Thank you for having me.